talks on the doctors' strike. Pop art comes to the art gallery. And India triumphs over England. Good evening and welcome to Newsworld. Talks continued in Canberra tonight in an attempt to settle the surgeons' strike. Representatives of the Australian Medical Association and the state and federal governments agreed when discussions were adjourned a few hours ago that some progress had been made. Their comments were, however, very guarded and gave no indication of what sort of settlement, if any, was being discussed.
Today, yet another bid to solve the difficult and increasingly complex doctors' dispute, this time without the hardline procedural specialists who have been isolated by the AMA, allowing Dr. Lindsay Thompson, the chief negotiator, to be cautiously optimistic.
I hope that we'll achieve some movement towards solving this problem. Obviously, it's difficult. We're not going to be able to knock it all over in one day, but let's hope we get some positive results.
Dr. Neil Blewett also expressed some hope.
I hope that the negotiations today will advance us towards a real solution to this problem. The government has made it quite plain that we will seek to meet all the grievances of the medical specialists concerned, but within the framework of Medicare.
But the specialists are opposed not only to the government, but the leadership of the AMA. The AMA has asked doctors to resume normal duties, and its president has openly criticised the specialist leader, Dr. Bruce Shepherd. Dr. Thompson believes last month's peace plan offers at least a start for negotiation. And today's meeting with the Prime Minister, Premier Rann and federal and state health ministers will be a test of strength between Dr. Thompson and Dr. Shepherd. After 3 hours of talks between the Prime Minister, Premier Rann and federal and state health officials, some good news. A framework for settlement had been established.
Well, I think it can be said that a framework has been established. The Prime Minister and myself have left the health ministers with the doctors to sharpen up, perhaps, some of the matters within that framework. But it seems to me that there's quite a deal been achieved, but there's still a long way to go.
Dr. Thompson, however, was less specific.
I am in no position to make a full statement tonight, other than to say that progress has been made.
It appears both sides have agreed not to comment tonight at least, until Dr. Thompson has a chance to discuss the talks with state AMA leaders. Tony Cogman in Canberra for Newsworld.
School teachers on the South Coast walked off the job today over the sacking of Bega maths teacher Richard O'Neill. Next week, extensive rolling strikes will begin in schools across the state as the Teachers Federation gears up for a major confrontation with the Education Commission.
Teachers at Bega High walked out today as soon as they heard colleague Richard O'Neill had been sacked. They've decided to close the school on alternate days until further notice. Teachers at other South Coast schools also stopped work. Many attended a lunchtime meeting at Wollongong Town Hall, where O'Neill was given a hero's welcome.
We have to make sure that this gets resolved in education's favour. Thank you very much.
The Teachers Federation executive also met today to coordinate a major industrial campaign in support of their dismissed member.
Next week there will be a series of rolling strikes. That action is expected to continue. And our State Council meeting on the 9th of March will hear a report on those rolling stoppages and recommendations for further industrial action.
O'Neill is one of many thousands of teachers who were given transfers at the beginning of the school year. Education Minister Rod Cavalier points out that all the others accepted their move, however inconvenient it was. And while it's backing him to the hilt, the Teachers Federation concedes O'Neill's plight has nothing to do with its campaign for new staffing formulas. It's simply a matter of defending a member they allege has been unfairly treated. That question will be dealt with in great detail when the Industrial Commission meets next month to consider Mr O'Neill's reinstatement. In the meantime, this is how many of the state's schools will be looking. As for the man in question, he says he'll be returning to Bega High later in the week to teach the class the Education Commission says doesn't exist and the job he doesn't have. Also protesting today, 30 teachers from the Cleveland Street Intensive Language Centre. Their 35-minute stoppage was over an increase in class sizes from 15 to 18. They'll meet again next week to plan tougher industrial action. Laurie Patton reporting, Newsworld.
The state government would allow nuclear warships into Sydney Harbour if asked to do so by the federal government. The Premier, Neville Wran, said tonight the federal government had the power to enforce such decisions, which related to defence.
The federal government clearly is paramount in matters of defence, and we, however, have responsibilities in relation to the environment and safety. And I would expect, especially in the light of more recent events, that if the federal government wants a nuclear-powered ship to come into Sydney Harbour, we'll get plenty of notice of it, and there will be put in place proper environmental and safety precautions.
Prince Norodom Sihanouk, the former Kampuchean head of state, has suggested that Australia take part in a major international conference aimed at